Hello my fellow Christian fiction lovers, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a full review for The Girl from the Train by Irma Ubert. This book is the first book I've read translated. Well, probably not the first book. I probably read one or two kids' books that were translated. But it's the first book that I can remember learning it was translated. Anyway, I got it off of Thrift Books quite a while ago and I ended up reading it for my TBR experiment video, which part 2 came out earlier this week, I think. I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars and I want to talk about why. So this book is interesting. It follows two main characters. I'm sorry. I literally have a dog biting my feet as I'm trying to talk. Basically, this book follows two main characters. The first is Gretel, and when we start the book, she is 6 years old and she has just escaped from a train that was going to take her and her family to a concentration camp. Basically, her mother and grandmother die on that train and her sister dies shortly afterward, and she is taken in by this family, the Kowalskis, and the other main character is one of the members of that family, Jacob. And so we get both of their perspectives and kind of the way that they're connected, despite them living in the same house, is that Jacob is part of the resistance effort in Poland, and he and some of his colleagues were the ones to plant the bombs that blew up the train that Gretel escaped from. She does not learn that right away. She does not know that at all. And when she's young, a young child, 6, 7, she forms this bond with Jacob, especially after he's injured. She helps take care of him, and the rest of the family that she's staying with doesn't really like her, and so she gets very close with Jacob. And then things happen and they end up separated, and she ends up being adopted by a family in South Africa and having a whole new family there. That's that. This book, oh my gosh, okay. So the plot was not really there. I'd say the second half of the book is its own plot all in itself, and the first half is definitely there are significant moments and scenes that happen in the first half of the book that aid the plot and explain a lot, and it wouldn't make sense if you didn't have the first half of the book. But the first 200 pages are really just kind of there and not existing within their own plot, which kind of takes points away for me. But the characters were so real. The characters were so real to me, and I just felt like they were real people. And Gretel, especially as she's growing up, and she keeps these secrets from her adoptive family about her heritage and that she was Jewish and a couple of other things, but I don't want to spoil it. And that is a great weight on her, and it was so good to read her development as she has to eventually become truthful and just come to terms with her past and herself and her future and all of that. Her character development was not super big. I mean, we watch her grow up. She goes from 6 to 21 in the book, so we definitely watch her mature. I will say her character development as she's reckoning with her past and her secrets, it's there, and there is kind of this breaking point that she gets to where she's just I cannot keep secrets anymore. It's actually kind of this event that triggers the breaking point, but I didn't get as much character development from her as I wanted. Now, Jacob, his character changes so much. He falls in love twice in the book. Yes, with different women, but that's a whole other thing. And watching him go through that twice, and he goes through one heartbreak and then falling in love again, and how he battles his thoughts was just so intricate, and I was rooting for him, but also not rooting for him. You gotta read it to understand it. So I loved his character and his character development. Gretel kind of got on my nerves a couple of times because she was just so energetic and would not stop talking at certain points, and I was calm down. But besides those moments, I did really like her. her adoptive family was so sweet and they just loved on her like so well, and I did really like them as supporting characters. And yeah, so that's the plot and the characters. Okay, she's back. Some personal thoughts about this book is I normally, like if I'm really, really sad in a book, it's towards the end, you know, when you've gotten to know the characters, you've gotten to know the story, and like the ending is really sad or whatever. Yeah, no, I was crying on page 100 of this book. It was not great. But it's terribly sad because it was at the point when Gretel and Jacob like had to say goodbye to each other, and he was putting her in an orphanage. It was for her own good. Like, it wasn't, you know, terrible. But it was terrible because I was crying and I didn't like it. So there was that. And then the way that this book ended, I saw it coming. I did see it coming at a certain point in the book. I was like, okay, it's gonna go there. And I didn't want it to. Like, I really, really hoped it would take a different direction, and it didn't. But the way it was written made me like the ending. I did end up enjoying the ending and realizing that it was the best resolution, I guess. But when it was first kind of that idea introduced, I was like, no, I don't like that. I did come to like it. Yes, I did. It was kind of a difficult ending. Like, it was a tricky situation, and the way it was written it just made it less tricky and better. And yeah, so those are my thoughts. Do you have any thoughts? What did you think of it? You didn't, nothing? Tell the people. Dolce has no thoughts, just head empty. No thoughts. Okay, if I set you down, will you behave? So I guess that's kind of it. Plot, characters, my personal thoughts. Like I said, I gave it a 5-star review. Oh, the translation. I did want to take a minute to talk about the translation. This dog does not know how to behave herself, I swear. There were only like very few moments where I like could tell that this book was translated. Certain word choices or other things, I was like, probably not the original like connotation, but other than that, it was so well done, and like props to the translator. I don't know who it was. Okay, it was translated by Elsa Silke, so I'm not entirely sure who they are, but they did a great job, and I was just so impressed with it. I felt like I was reading a book in English, and that is great. I want to see if any of her other books have been translated into English and maybe get them and read them, because it was just a journey and I loved it. So highly recommend. Let me know if you've read this book or if you want to read it in the comments. I'd love to chat about it. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe. And I will see you in my next video. Until then, bye!